Nashville, Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another fantasy edition of The Spread. I'm your host, Jim Sella, here with our fantasy guru, Jay Dash. Dash, it's week 1, 2017 season. You're the fantasy champion of all fantasy champions. You got an A++ on your draft we did 2 days ago.
You're just making stuff up.
So, what? Come on.
Yeah. Well, I got an A-. I got best draft for the 3rd straight season in this league. It's been running for 3 seasons, yeah. But my team chokes at the end of the season, man.
Yeah, you know, that's kind of how fantasy always goes. When you look good, you end up sucking, and when you look like you're going to suck, you're going to end up winning the championship. And that's probably going to be Parlay this year because his team looks like garbage.
Yeah, but you never know, man. Things change real quick in fantasy football. That's why you got to stay active on the waiver wire. You can't just pick a good team and then expect to win all season with that team. You got to keep track of who's next, because there's a lot of injuries, and especially at the running back position, man. You got to find those running backs throughout the season.
Speaking of the waiver wire, fans, hit us up on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Hit me up on Twitter at betjimtowin. Go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. You can always put your comments in the comment section of this YouTube video. Get all your questions in. We'll get them all answered. We never miss a question. The spread's for the people.
Believe it. So let's get some questions going here.
All right, I'm just going to pull some questions from some of the fantasy football Facebook groups I'm in. First one we got going, Ivan MG asks, should he play Aaron Rodgers versus the Seahawks D or Marcus Mariota versus the Raiders D?
That's a good question because I do like Tennessee this week. I think all the Tennessee players, all the main players, obviously, DeMarco Murray, Marcus Mariota, I think they're going to have good weeks. But it's hard to sit Rodgers any week. I know it's going up against Seattle's defense. If I draft Aaron Rodgers, I'm playing him every week. So I would go with Aaron Rodgers, but it's hard to sit Mariota this week as well. I get it. But I will say Aaron Rodgers.
I hear what you're saying. Rodgers is definitely one of those guys that you almost never want to put on the bench. It's crazy to me that this guy's got Aaron Rodgers and Marcus Mariota on his team. People, I don't know how he got both these quarterbacks. They're top 5 quarterbacks, basically, according to our rankings, or at least pretty close in Mariota's case. The Raiders D, I mean, they got Khalil Mack, and then what else? I mean, they were terrible at the beginning of the first half of 2016. They did get better a little bit as the season went on. So if there ever was a time where I'd sit Aaron Rodgers, it would be now, especially against that Seahawks defense. I think I'm going to go Mariota here. I'm going to have to go opposite of you, Dash, even though you are the fantasy guru.
Yeah, like I said, I really like Tennessee up against Oakland this week. I still think there's questions about how good Oakland's defense is. Like you said, they started out bad and got better through the course of the season last year. I don't know which Oakland defense we're going to see this season. Hopefully, for their sake, they start out like they ended last season. I'm not so sure if that's going to happen or not, but you're right. I mean, Mariota's not a terrible play this week. In Tennessee, I see them having a good offensive week all around. So if you have someone in Tennessee, I play him. But again, Aaron Rodgers, I think he can handle Seattle's defense, to tell you the truth. I think he can handle pretty much any defense.
He handled Olivia Munn, so he can handle anything, right?
Please believe.
Next question from John Kaplan. He says, I have one more spot on my bench. Who should I add? This is a PPR league. Kevin White, Kendall Wright, Rex Burkhead, Zay Jones, Corey Davis, or Chris Carson?
Well, I wouldn't make it Chris Carson because they have Eddie Lacy and Thomas Rawls out there. I've seen Thomas Rawls is the number 1 running back going in the week 1 at least. And it's still an open competition out there, really. But that's a pretty crowded backfield. Did you say Corey Davis?
Yeah.
Well, I really like Corey Davis. Like we just mentioned Tennessee and what their offense can do this season. It's just that he is a rookie. It's tough for rookie wide receivers to have huge seasons. But I think he can get acclimated by week 4 even. I think this guy is going to be a beast in this, with Mariota and the rest of the weapons they have out there. I think he can have a pretty solid rookie season. So he's a possibility. I like that Zay Jones in Buffalo, too. They need to throw to someone out there. I know they got Jordan Matthews or whatever, but they need someone else as well. and Zay Jones is possibly going to be that guy. So I like him. I would go with Corey Davis, though, I think. Kevin White, he's not a bad choice either. Yeah, I mean, he is going to be the number one out there unless Marcus Wheaton takes that job. But I just don't trust the quarterback out there in Chicago, so I'm going to say Corey Davis. Go with the guy that has a good quarterback.
I got to agree with you on this one, Dash. Burke had too many people in that backfield. Zay Jones, I mean, you got Tyrod Taylor, who runs the ball almost as much as he throws the ball in Buffalo. Kendall Wright and Chris Carson, Kevin White, I'm too scared by the injuries the last 2 years. He hasn't been on the field enough for me. He flew around the field in college, hasn't really done much in the pros. I know Corey Davis hasn't done anything, but I just think he's in an offense more suited to his skills, and I like Mariota. And quite honestly, I want DeMarco Murray to do well because he's on my fantasy team.
Get it.
Believe. Nathan Banks asks, those who have Tier 1 players with Miami or Tampa Bay, are you sitting your players or riding it out with them? Why would you ride it out with them? Are there leagues where when you bench somebody, you can't ever put them back in? You bench them for week 1. They're not playing.
And this question was asked after the postponement?
No, he asked this.
Yeah, after the postponement.
After, sorry, yeah. So I don't know what this guy's thinking.
Yeah, I mean, you can risk it if you want.
Yeah.
I would say.
I guess you got to have some big cojones.
I would say play someone else, unless you're Easy. Easy's going up against me this week. I know he has Jarvis Landry. I say leave him in and take your beating.
Easy. Where's he at? We got to get him on the mic.
Yeah, I think he's given up on this show, man. He's seen our business plan and think it's failing, maybe.
He doesn't like it. He's all about that.
I think
Alex
he's
Jones.
done for good, dude. I don't see him coming back on the show. I even talk about the show, and he looks disgusted.
Yeah. Adrian Bernal asked, this whole Cincinnati situation is throwing me off. I got Mixon and Bernard. Who should I start?
Yeah, I think Jeremy Hill's not 100% healthy out there. I think Bernard and Mixon are the better two to have at this point. We've seen Giovanni Bernard in the past. When he was young, he had some big games and some decent seasons. Recently, though, I haven't been as big on Bernard. Not that he's terrible or anything. I think I'd give it to Joe Mixon, though. I think they want him to win the job out there, obviously. So I would go with him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you got to play one or the other, I would pick Mixon, but I'm pretty much staying away from that backfield in the early part of the year till they kind of decide who they get and who they want to be that number one. They took Mixon high in the draft, so obviously they're high on him and his skills. And, you know, Hill, I've never been a huge fan, although he's had some productive years. Bernard's always been that scat back that was kind of here nor there. You never knew what you were really going to get out of him. So Mixon definitely has the best chance long term, but for me, I would try to find somebody other than those two. But if I had to, going with Mixon. Eddie Foster asks, Jay Ajayi is a no. So who do I start in his place for my bench? Coleman at Chicago or Blount at Washington? Well, Blount can get high in Washington because weed's legal in D.C., so he'll be happy.
Yeah, so he'll be in a good mood, but I'm still going with Coleman. I know Freeman's the guy out there, but Coleman takes a lot of touches away from Freeman as well because he's a pretty good back in his own right. So, Ian going up against Chicago, a defense that I don't think is very good. I think Atlanta can go out there, Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman. I think all these guys can have a good game.
Yeah, Chicago's defense is garbage. Blount, you never really know what you're going to get out of him this year. You don't really know what they're going to be doing in Philly. Last year, he was that feature back in New England. He racked up some yards, but he got a lot of touchdowns, 18 total touchdowns throughout the regular season and playoffs. I don't think he's going to get 18 this year. I think his only value is going to come from touchdowns because I don't think he's going to get over 1,000 yards this year. So I'd say the better chance here is Coleman. Atlanta's offense just so much better. Freeman, he had that concussion early in the preseason, so I'm not saying he's concussion prone or anything, but he could come out of that game if he gets hit in the head pretty well. So you never really know between those two, but I'm definitely taking Coleman over Blount.
Yeah, the reason he had the value last year was because of all those touchdowns, and he was in one of the best offenses in football. Now he goes to, seems to be one of the worst offenses in football, depending on what Carson Wentz does this season. But I don't have high hopes for really anyone in that Philadelphia offense right now.
They're beat. All right, I got a couple more quick ones for you, Dash. Matt Terrian asks, I got offered Tevin Coleman and Eric Decker for Jarvis Landry. I already have a decent receiving core, and I need another running back. Do I make the deal?
Man, I'm a big fan of Jarvis Landry. I think he's getting the best player of the bunch. But Tevin Coleman, I mean, he's not a bad option to have if you're looking for running backs. And it's not like you can go out there and make a big move for a running back right now, obviously. So, yeah, bringing Tevin Coleman in, I'm not even really worried about Decker, to tell you the truth. But if you need a running back, Tevin Coleman, we were just talking about him. I think Devontae Freeman is definitely the better back out there, but I think there's more than enough snaps for Tevin Coleman as well. So, yeah, it's not a terrible move. I like Jarvis Landry more. You said you're strong at wide receiver, so you can make that deal, and it wouldn't be terrible.
Ben Kelly wants to know, should he start Ingram or Abdullah? This is his flex.
I think I'd go with Ingram, man. I still like Ingram. I think he's going to get more touches than Adrian Peterson at this point. Mark Ingram's been a pretty good back in fantasy, so I'm going to go with him.
Matthew, whose last name I cannot pronounce, wants to know, should he trade Freeman and Kelvin Benjamin for Lamar Miller and Julio Jones?
Well, I'd have to see the rest of your roster, but Julio Jones is the best player, and what you want to do is bring in the best players to your team. So while I like the two players you're giving up, you're getting the best player for sure. So I bring in Julio Jones if you have enough at running back.
Which rookie running back will have the best season? McCaffrey, Fournette, Hunt, Mixon, or Dalvin Cook?
Well, I like Dalvin Cook. I like Kareem Hunt. And who was the first one you mentioned? I like that guy too. I forget who you said. McCaffrey, yes. All young guys. I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt as long as he is able to keep the job this season, just because Kansas City's been a running team throughout the years, and they need to rely on that run game. So I like Kareem Hunt.
I was hoping you'd say Dalvin Cook.
I like Dalvin Cook too, though, man. That's not terrible either. That's another team that really relies on the run game. I just think they have a little bit more other than Dalvin Cook in that backfield out there that can help them out.
Frank wants to know if he made a dumb move. He traded away Melvin Gordon and Willie Snead for Todd Gurley and Jerron Brown.
It's not the greatest move, but it's not terrible either. I'm not big on Melvin Gordon. I think you gave up a higher value, but in the end, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Man, the comments are hating on this poor guy.
Well, a lot of people were high on Melvin Gordon, man. I've never really been a fan of him.
Who would you play in your flex, Hunt or Powell?
Hunt. Forte's healthy, so they're going to be mixing between him and Powell. Hunt is the guy out there right now.
Would you add Hunter Henry from waivers if he was available?
Yeah, I like that guy. I think he's going to – I think they said Gates is going to start, but I think Hunter Henry's the better tight end out there, and Gates can never finish a season, really. At least he misses some time. I think Hunter Henry's going to take a step forward this season. All right, that's about it, man. When you want to do one more, we done.
Martavis Bryant or Devontae Adams? Who would you rather have?
Martavis Bryant. I think he can have a big season as long as he keeps his head on straight. I think, you showed it in the draft, man. You went high on him. What, fourth round, maybe even third?
Fourth round. I thought you were going to take him if I didn't take him there because you had, I think, 2 picks before me in the next round. So
yeah,
I couldn't risk it.
Yeah, I wasn't going to take him. Maybe I was going to take him the next round. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were going to get him in the 5th because you picked before me because of the snake draft.
Yeah, I seen you took Allen Robinson from me too. You knew you at least you thought I was going to take him. I thought you were going to take T.Y. Hilton. I was going to take T.Y. Hilton if they were both there, just because I think I love Allen Robinson, but T.Y. Hilton's just on a little bit more of another level, I think. So I was going to go T.Y. Hilton either way.
Yeah, I was laughing when we were doing the draft. I told Audrey, I said I definitely poached a couple players from you.
But that's
My brother got me back, Martellus Bennett.
Yeah, I was going to draft him as well. But I drafted Randall Cobb right before he went for some reason. When I was looking after the draft, I was like, I thought I took Randall Cobb because he took Bennett. So I don't know why I didn't take Bennett there. But Randall Cobb, I got in like the 11th round or something. I like that pick.
Believe it. But that's it. That's all we got. Fantasy out. Fans, questions, comments, like I said at the beginning of the episode, hit us up on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Hit me up on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. Come back to YouTube, click subscribe, throw us your comments, tell your friends. The last question in the fantasy football group is, what is your favorite fantasy podcast and why? The answer is always the spread.